Well, you sent it. What kind of email? Sounds juicy.
No. It's about liberation.
Oh, okay. Good morning, Senator Amanda Shelton. Of course, Chris and Sabrina here. Thanks for calling in.
Good morning. Good morning, Chris and Sabrina. How are you today?
Oh, we're fine. How are you?
Doing well. We had a late night, but I'm glad that we got to move Bill 367 to the voting file last night. So a very productive evening.
Right.
I guess, first of all, if you could, we'll just give you the floor. Who is eligible for this aid, and how much aid are we talking about, Senator?
Thanks. So the Bill 367 will establish the Azuda Imangasa Help for Families program. So this will be a direct stimulus of $500 to families who have dependents who were left out of the CARES Act. So many families out there may have noticed or had been expecting that they would be getting $500 for all of their dependents. But the CARES Act only covered for dependents up until the age of 16. So if you had a high school student who's over the age of 16 or a young adult who's in college who you still cover as a dependent, or an individual with disability who's your relative and a dependent, maybe your adult child who you still claim who has a disability, this $500 stimulus will be for them and go directly to the head of household.
And I know that there were several funding sources for this bill.
Yes. So originally I introduced with the funding sources being 2020 General Fund, 2020 Special Fund, the Rainy Day Fund, and the War Claims Fund. And so those funding sources were introduced, and we did have support from the administration saying that if we allowed for the governor to have this transfer authority, that they believed there was enough funds in those accounts to allow us to transfer them into this program. And so fortunately, during the committee of the whole yesterday evening, we learned that we would be able to use the CARES Act funding. So I think that's good news for everyone, that we're going to be able to readjust the CARES Act funding and get this direct payment to our families. And I think that's what everyone is really out there. You were just discussing how much people are hurting, and they're really wanting for a little more help right now. And so this is a way we can get that money directly to them.
Mm-hmm. So those four local funding sources, BBMR and the Department of Administration said there was actual money.
Yeah, so the note that I got from BBMR yesterday was just, it didn't specify which.
Because $3 million, right? $3 million in the Rainy Day Fund?
That's what was shared on the floor yesterday.
So what about the War Claims Fund? How much is there? Or have they spent that?
They did share with us yesterday that the War Claims Fund was used, I believe, for
tax refunds.
Yeah, so I can't recall the exact amount that they talked about on the floor, but that information was shared yesterday.
Okay, and the War Claims Fund, was that supposed to be approved legislatively before it was used?
Well, I believe there was a provision in our original war claims legislation, and so I'm not really sure what happened with that whole situation.
Mm-hmm. So you were told, though, by the administration that the money in the War Claims Fund was used, despite the fact that there may or may not be, because you can't recall, whether or not...
Yeah, I can't recall what the number was, but yes, we were told that we received the war claims reimbursement, not the full amount, and that some of it was used for tax refund.
I think it was, I want to say 12 million maybe, or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I can't recall the exact amount, so you may be right, Chris.
Okay, so for the other two local funding sources, was there any money? You said general fund appropriations?
Yes, so that was shared with us, that there was funds available, but that we wouldn't have to tap into those funds because of the CARES Act funding would be able to be used for this program. And so we added language into the bill last night that would make it so that the CARES Act funding became another option, and that we would use all of the federal CARES Act money possible before we ever touch any local funding for this program. So I know a lot of my colleagues last night had that concern, and so did I, because as we learned that the CARES Act was available. Of course, we want to use any federal funds before dipping into our local funds, and so we added that amendment in. That was a great compromise with many of my colleagues. So I'm thankful to them for working together and helping to find a solution that would protect our local funds and get this program out to the people.
Did the administration go on the record yesterday, BBMR and DOA, on the record say we are going to use CARES Act funding for this program?
Yes, they did assure us that they would use CARES Act funding. Okay,
because they assured the legislature that they were going to use CARES Act funding, and the fact that we don't need, I guess the legislature can't appropriate federal funds, why do we need this bill? Why do we need this bill?
Well, the bill now establishes the program. So, yes, now that we learned that the CARES Act money is available, the governor surely could have stood up the program. But, this is something that we wrote into law, and we are now establishing the program and saying that in the event that there isn't enough CARES Act money, that we do have this some other local funding source option. So that is available in the bill.
Could you have just given this bill to the governor? Or even just the idea, the concept to the governor, and she could have implemented that, or implement that today instead of going through this whole process.
The RISE, was that RISE one? The one that Senator Regine had, that RISE a bill, and then I think she had introduced it, and then the governor said, "No, we're going to do that," and then the bill got withdrawn.
Well, that's definitely an option, and I did work very closely with the Department of Revenue Tax, with BBMR, DOA to get the right language and to do this right, because we were assuming all of this time that we were going to be using local funds, and so that's why we were going in this route. And so I would have been appreciative either way if the governor took this bill on, or this idea on, and ran with it, or allowing us to us going in this route to introduce the legislation and establish the program. To me, at the end of the day, whoever gets it up and running, I'm just as happy.
Yeah, and again, it just highlights the fact that the administration could have done this or could be doing this, and they're not. And here we are. The legislature is debating a bill that she could just do. And people are waiting in line for food, waiting for stimulus checks, and they have been waiting.
I think it was really an oversight of the federal stimulus, right? So many of my constituents brought it to light, and so that is why I put it into the legislation. I introduced the bill, and so it was because I heard a caller on your station as well. I think her name was Abby, a mom who was talking about her not being able to get a stimulus payment for her dependent, and I had many callers from the university, many callers from Guam Community College who were worried about what their parents had to help them. And so this was the route we chose to go to introduce the bill, and I'm glad that it received the support of all of the departments that we needed. And so this is what we're doing moving forward.
Senator, do you think that the criticisms that we're not getting these CARES Act funds out to people who need it quick enough, you think those are valid criticisms?
Of course it is, because the people of Guam are hurting, and I know that we everything is moving quite slowly, and I hear all of those frustrations. I really feel for the people who are calling our office as well, asking for help to fill out the unemployment application, asking for help about how to get assistance, how to sign up for SNAP, and where to go to receive the free food program, where to line up. And so we're hearing those concerns too. And so this is one that I heard loud and clear from so many young people, and this is a program that I could act on and introduce the bill to do so. But yes, I know that there is frustration because of the pace that we are moving at, and I know everyone wants to take all of the precautions necessary and ensure that we're doing this right. And I know we are doing the best we can, and we're just praying and hoping that everything can move along a lot faster and that everyone will, continue pushing to help the people.
But Senator, you've been getting these calls for concerns. You said all of your colleagues have been getting these calls for concerns. Was nobody taking these concerns to Adelup? I mean, you used to work with the chief of staff.
Oh, well, yes, we do communicate with Adelup. We also have our own oversight hearings. We've had an oversight hearing with the Department of Public Health and Social Services. We've had an oversight hearing with the Department of Labor. And so, we are doing our best on our end as legislators, as policymakers, with this oversight authority to help the people the best way that we can.
So, Senator, if you guys were able to figure out a way for Adelup to stand up this program in the same way they did with the GITA program and also the program Azudan Salapi, if Adelup, and it looks like they could because they have done it with 2 other programs, if they were able to stand this up, would you support that if it meant that you weren't going to get any shine from passing this or getting this bill passed?
Sure. Like I said, Chris, really it's not about the glory for me. It's about just doing right by the people of Guam and getting the money to them as fast as we can. So if there's a way that they can stand it up and follow the program as we've, set out as this legislation, I'd be really happy with that as long as we were doing it the fastest way possible.
Right.
Let's
the
talk
fastest way would be just for the governor to do it.
Or to have done it already, because I feel like...
Well, the bill still provides for that additional funding option and some other protections in the bill and reporting requirements to the legislature so that we can keep a close eye on the CARES Act funding and what we're doing with this program. So I am appreciative for those parts of the bill that call for accountability and transparency. So I think that's an important part that we are legislating here.
Has the administration complied with the transparency bill that was overridden with turning in expenditure reports?
The one that you voted against, right?
Yeah, I did vote against that veto. I can't recall right now from the messages and communications that I've received in my office what exact reports have come in, but I can definitely check into that.
Okay.
What did you make of, Senator, of the fighting that happened yesterday? That was pretty feisty.
Chris, as you know, things get heated on the floor because we all have different ideas and we want to do what's best. And so sometimes the conversation, the discussion, the debate, it gets a little heated, and that's something that that is expected. And I think everyone at the end of the day just wanted to do the best job that we could to help the people, and we came to a consensus. And so I am glad about the outcome, and that at the end of the day, all of our colleagues could come together and do that. Mm-hmm.
Well, I certainly appreciate your efforts, Senator Shelton. I think we can all acknowledge that you are trying your best under these circumstances. So you guys are going back into session on Friday for the State of Judiciary address. When are we going to see these bills actually go up for a vote?
Sure. Thank you for that comment, Sabrina. And yes, I appreciate it. And I know that all of our colleagues are working our hardest to do the best job that we can to help the people. And so we will be going into session tomorrow for the State of the Judiciary tomorrow morning. And so I know that our legislative team, our central team, the clerks need time to engross all of the bills. And so we haven't set a time yet for voting, but I'm sure it'll be sometime this weekend or early next week.
Oh, okay. So you guys might be in session over the weekend.
I can't.
Okay.
But of course, it is always a possibility to vote, as soon as they're able to engross the bill. So they do need time to do that.
All right. Well, thank you, Senator Shelton. I just got to say, it just seems frustrating, or I can feel or see some of your colleagues' frustration that it's even having to get to this point where we have to legislate something like this when it can be just done
and
by
I think
Adelup.
that the point that maybe that they're trying to make is that that day that we discussed this in session was a day that they could have spent standing it up on their own. I mean, yeah. Okay,
I
Senator.
hear that frustration, but I'm glad that we're doing it. And I'd just like to mention too quickly, Bree and Chris that we moved 2 other bills to the third reading file, which is a funding source for the University of Guam and for GCC, both to help them with some technology advancement to help them move into transition into their online learning. And so they're going to be able to expand some of those programs and services. So we are giving about $500,000 to the University of Guam and almost $300,000 to the Guam Community College to help them with those efforts from the Tobacco Trust Fund.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you very much, guys.
Thanks. Take care.
Okay, take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Senator, next time when you guys are having the altercation down there and, they go into recess and the mics are off, what do you think? You give us a little under the table secret recording? Because I'm not much of a lip reader.
Well, I'm sure you guys had you've received those WhatsApps of the lip dubs of people doing the conversations over over our recesses. So I think
taking a note from the malfunction playbook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Take
Thank
care.
you, Senator. Wash your hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, what'd you think, Bree?
Yeah, I think I already told everybody what I thought.
I was like, I guess I'm being good cop for this one.
No, I mean, really.
No, yeah, of course.
You could have
We
just
agree. Yeah.
said, Governor, hey, John, we used to work together. Remember at Congressman Manuel Medalia's office? I got this great idea.
Right.
Make it happen.
I mean, is there,
got
it just seems like we're
$118 million in CARES Act funding.
We're just sitting